Today's episode is a double salute, Disney's planes and Disney's planes, fire rescue. First, I'm going to salute on Disney's planes. Enjoy, Disney's planes. Yes, this movie rocks. This movie starts Dusty Crofter, a young crop duster plane, works at a cornfield in Popwash Junction, Minnesota, and practices aerobatic maneuvers in his spare time. He dreams of becoming a racer but is scorned by his boss, Lead Bottom, and his forklift mechanic friend, Dottie. However, he is supported by his fuel truck friend, Chug Dusty, and Chug train for qualifiers for the upcoming Wings Around the Globe rally. On the night before the qualifiers, Dusty asks an elderly Navy warplane named Skipper Riley to teach him how to fly well, but Skipper declines. The next day, Dusty barely qualifies on a legal technicality. Skipper decides to mentor Dusty, and discovers Dusty has a fear of heights. With training complete, Dusty travels to New York City for the race. There, he befriends a Mexican racer named El Chupacabra, who falls in love with a French-Canadian racer named Rochelle but consistently fails to woo her. Three-time defending champion Rip Slinger dismisses Dusty. Dusty falls in love with an Indian plane named Ishani, who becomes supportive of him. During the first leg of the race from New York to Iceland, Dusty's refusal to fly high causes him to finish in last place. During the second leg of the race to Germany, Dusty shows good sportsmanship by saving another racer, Bulldog, from crashing, winning Bulldog's respect but finishing last again. After the third leg of the race to Agra in India, Ishani invites Dusty to fly around the Taj Mahal and advises him to fly low through the Himalayas by following some railroad tracks. After flying through a tunnel, Dusty is in first place at Upper Mustang in Nepal, but he is upset to discover that Ishani set him up in exchange for a new propeller from Rip Slinger's team, and he shuns her. The fifth leg is over the hump, the mountains between northeast India and South China, to Shanghai, where Dusty gets into first place again. He manages to help El Chupacabra win over Rochelle with a romantic song. In the sixth leg of the race across the Pacific, Rip Slinger has his sidekicks Ned and Zed clip off Dusty's navigation antenna. Lost and low on fuel, Dusty comes across the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, the naval base of Skipper's squadron, the Jolly Ranchers, which allows him to land and refuel. On the carrier, Dusty discovers that contrary to Skipper's own descriptions, he only flew one mission during war. Before he can obtain answers, a thunderstorm strikes, and he is forced to depart by the carrier crew. However, he ends up crashing into the Pacific Ocean and is severely damaged. Dusty is salvaged and transported to Mexico, where his concerned friends are also present. Skipper confesses his entire squadron perished when he was coaxed to lead an attack by one of his fighters on a recon mission. He never flew again after the Navy salvaged him. Dusty considers dropping out of the race, but is encouraged to continue by many of his fellow competitors, who donate parts to repair the damage he sustained. Ishani also gives Dusty her new propeller, reconciling their friendship. Racing back to New York, Rip Slinger plots to finish off Dusty again but is thwarted by Skipper, who regains his courage to fly. Dusty conquers his acrophobia when he rides a jet stream. Nearing the finish line, Rip Slinger slows for the cameras, which allows Dusty to pass him at the last second and win. Dusty is congratulated by his friends, and Skipper thanks him for giving him the confidence to fly again. Dusty and Skipper visit the Eisenhower, where the former is inducted as an honorary Jolly Rancher in recognition of his victory. The two are launched off and decide to race back to Popwash Junction. Now let's talk about the characters. Dusty Crofter is great. I bet if you ask him if the sun is a star or a planet, then he would say the sun is a star. Rip Slinger is cool, Bravo and Echo is good, Ishani is sweet, Skipper Riley is awesome, Cad Spinner is great, Blade Ranger is cool, Lil Dipper is great, and the other characters are nice. Do you know who likes this movie? Me? This is my favorite movie, and I don't know who hates this movie, so I'm just going to leave it be. Disney's Planes rocks. And so does Despicable Me 4. Tiny Robot sucks. End of Salute 1. Now I'm going to salute on Disney's Planes, Fire Rescue. Enjoy. Disney's Planes, Fire Rescue. Yes, this movie rocks. This movie starts since winning the Wings Around the Globe rally. Dusty Crafter has a successful career as a racer, but his engine's gearbox becomes damaged due to constantly pushing to max speed. The type of gearbox is now out of production and unavailable anywhere, so Dusty's mechanic Dottie fits a warning light to keep his engine performance low to prevent further damage. Disappointed, Dusty goes on a defiant flight testing his limits. In doing so, he is forced to make landing at Propwash Junction's airport, clipping a pole and inadvertently causing a fire. The hose of Mayday, the town's fire truck, is leaking, so the residents topple the water tower. The accident leads Government Inspector Riker to condemn the airport for inadequate firefighting protocols in accordance with 14 CFRA Section 139B until Mayday is refurbished and there is another firefighter. Dusty, feeling remorseful, offers to become a trained firefighter to get the airport reopened, so he travels to Piston Peak National Park, where he meets a fire and rescue crew under the leader command of a helicopter named Blade Ranger. Blade is initially unimpressed by the small newcomer, and Dusty's training proves to be a difficult challenge due to his damaged engine. Dusty however remains confident and continues to work hard. Maru, the team's mechanic, replaces Dusty's original undercarriage with two pontoons fitted with retractable undercarriage wheels for his new role as a single-engine air tanker firefighter. From other crew members, Dusty learns that Blade was formerly an actor who played a police helicopter on the TV series Show PS but left for unknown reasons. Later, Dusty is devastated by a call from his friends at Propwash Junction, noting that all attempts at finding a replacement gearbox have failed and his racing career is over. Lightning in a thunderstorm over a forest near Piston Peak starts several spot fires which unite into a serious forest fire. The team fights it and seems to have extinguished it, but later, during the grand reopening of the park's lodge, visiting VIPs fly too low and create terror eddies that blow embers about, creating a larger fire and forces an evacuation at the lodge. Meanwhile, a depressed Dusty's education falters to Blade's frustration, and things come to a head when Dusty attempts to refuel with water in a river during a fire dispatch and is swept through the rapids with Blade trying to extract him. Eventually, the pair make it to land, and Dusty confesses his damaged engine, to which Blade advises Dusty not to give up. They shelter in an abandoned mine while the fire passes, and Blade is damaged when shielding Dusty from heat. While Blade is recuperating at the base, Dusty learns from Maru that Blade's co-star Nick Lupin Lopez from Show PS was killed during a stunt gone wrong on set and Blade was unable to help stop the crash, prompting Blade to become a firefighter to save lives for real. Cad Spinner, the park's superintendent, diverts the entire water supply to the roof sprinklers to prevent the lodge from burning. Unable to rely on retardant, the firefighters instead manage to help the evacuees escape the fire. Dusty is alerted that two elderly campers, Harvey and Winnie, are trapped on a burning bridge deep in the fire zone. He races to the scene, and is forced to push his engine to the maximum so he can scale a waterfall and refill his water tanks. Blade shows up to assist Dusty, who successfully extinguishes the fire, allowing the campers to escape. Dusty's overstressed gearbox fails shortly after he tries to make a safe landing in the forest, but one of his pontoons hits one of the trees and he crashes, knocking himself out in the process. Dusty is airlifted back to base and recovers after 5 days, learning that in addition to repairing him, Maru has built a superior custom refurbished gearbox for his engine, returning him to full performance and allowing him to race again. He also learns that Cad was fired. Impressed at Dusty's skill and heroism, Blade gladly certifies him as a firefighter, and Mayday is refurbished. Propwash Junction is reopened with Dusty assuming his duty as a firefighter, celebrated with an aero show with his new colleagues from Piston Peak. Disney's Planes, Fire Rescue rocks. And so does the Powerpuff Girls movie. Food fight sucks. End of Double Salute.